Hello, and welcome to another edition of In Between the Pages with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr. What we do here is I talk to writers and authors and screenwriters and all that stuff. We go in between the pages, folks, of some of the writing processes, what they write about, and what's going on. This book was so cute. I have a story for her. I'm gonna tell her when we get started. It's called Food Fight. It's part of the Mouthwatering series. I just love saying that over and over again. You can go on Amazon and get it, paperback, Kindle, whatever. But we're going to talk to the author, Thea Lambert, about this book. Hi, Thea.
Hi there. How are you?
Thanks for coming on the show. Okay, so I'll tell you a quick little story. So now, for me, I probably wouldn't pick this book out on my own, just while looking at books, right? It's a romantic comedy, whatever. But the story is somebody say I'm glad to not just a book by its cover. Love that. I always read the books I get because it's folks are going to tell you the story, but the story is about a food competition show and behind the scenes and two people. So my grandmother, my grand Susie, who passed away a few years ago, would have loved this book. And our connection, she lived in Brooklyn, I was here in LA, and our connection was food competition shows. It was that specific. So when I go to visit, I would try to go twice a year to see her because I just love New York. And I'll go visit her, and we always, oh my God, watch the show, talk about everything. And I read this book, it reminded me of my grand. So I just want to say thank you, Thea, for
Aw.
this book.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel good that not just my book, but like you were saying, I think food competitions actually do bring people together. I caregive for my mom. She has a nurse coming once a week, and that nurse was talking about how she just discovered Great British Bake Show, and she you know, uh, just watched everything, and now she's sad because no more. But we were talking about all that. I think food brings people together. Yes, the competition is kind of fun. I love Chopped. I'm watching the holiday baking championships right now. I'm enjoying that. Just I think it's creativity. I think people don't give the food arts or whatever you want to call it enough due. But I think the idea of just creating something that makes people happy, either, with the way it tastes, reminds you of your youth or a friend or a family member, like you were saying. Um, I think breaking bread around a table, especially, I think it brings people closer together. And that's part of the reason I liked writing this series, because you have the romance, of course, but you also have friends who are together, and you have this food, and everything sort of melds together.
Yeah,
And it brings a little bit of happiness, when you're trying to get through your less than joyful lives. I'm very happy to be alive, but it's nice to escape a little from the day-to-day routine.
I think it's also true. In my opinion, it's also two other things. My grandmother and I did talk about this when she was alive. One of them is
Yeah.
food is culture, food is love, food is all that mixed together. We talk about how you come from a Greek background. I come from a Puerto Rican and Black and Southern and Dutch and all these different backgrounds. And food is that. It's just that. I mean, there's all that's poured into food. But I think number two, another thing I also appreciate too is um sometimes you feel like you're inadequate, like you're not a good cook yourself. So you watch these people cook good
Mm.
food. Some of it is voyeurism. It's kind of like I could never do that, and it make things look so beautiful, on screen. Like you're just like sitting,
Yeah.
and and then part of it's the competition. It's like people are saying, can they make it? Like Chopped, especially you mentioned Chopped, where they get these ingredients. Here's a lima bean and pickle and some chocolate sauce. Make a lunch, that kind of thing. It's kind of like, well, can they do it? Will they make it? How are they invent? I think it's all those things, and your book is such a feel good book.
Thank
It's
you.
such a, like, seriously, in a time where everything's heavy. It's such a feel good book that I happily read this. And now I want to read. You have another one I think out there too. I want to read. I saw on there too. I want to read. I know they're self-contained, but I'm like, if her other books make me feel like this, where you just kind of smile, you're like, okay, that was very cute. I want more.
Well, thank you. That's what I want to do with my writing. Would I like to make some good money? Well, sure.
Of
That's,
course, of course.
who wouldn't want to be, a Stephen King? But just the idea of making people laugh or smile, I mean, that really is what turns me on for writing. I just love the idea that someone uh, finishes a book, or and just feels better by it, even though it's not something literary. Yes, it's the genre, the romantic comedy genre, but I think there is a place for these different genres that make people happy. I've enjoyed fantasy, but I'm not a big fantasy reader, but I know how much people enjoy that, or YA.
Yeah.
So I just love the idea of being able to uh, set someone's imagination and uh, you know moving, and and actually I think with books, I think that's why I started to write. When I was a kid, there was this series of books, and it was like little family series. It was and I wanted to write like that, and I think that's what other people do, and then they get their own style and their own um, shtick, if you will,
I know, right, right.
what turns them on. So I'm glad that it made you happy. That's the nicest thing people can say to me, for real. So
Yes.
I appreciate it.
So it's good. And so for people who don't know, this book involves, it's almost like a behind the scenes of a possible show. It's called Food Fights, name of the show, which is a fun name of the show. I'm surprised there isn't a show named that already. So when you pick the name, so when you pick the going in between the pages, when you pick the name of the show, how did you pick it?
Well, I just thought of the term food fight. I mean, in the story, uh, the nemesis turned lovers were high school enemies, and I thought of high school and school and food fights in the cafeteria, and I thought it was a cute title for a reality competition and a book, and I thought, gosh, why hasn't someone taken food fight? Well, it turned out they had, but
Oh, I
I
had.
figured,
Okay.
yeah. I think long ago there was a a food competition called Food Fight, and so I thought, well, I haven't heard about it. It was quite a while ago. I'm going to take a chance. I know it's very hard to find an original title. You can find, I think you can find an original plot and more than you can find an original
Yeah.
title
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah. I was like, food fights, like, it's fine. Yeah, so it's Charlie and Drew, and they were trying to work together. Or her real name was
Right.
Charlotte, right? I think it was Charlotte was her real name.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, Charlie and Drew and Charlotte. So it's kind of fun because I watch these shows and I always wonder something. I'm like, is there no chemistry with some of these people? And what's going behind the scenes. So it's kind of fun, faux peeling back on a show and a story.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. Like, oh, that'd be interesting if that was for real. And I totally I can see this as a movie on some network. I can totally see it as a something on network. Or series. I can totally see it. I can totally see it.
Oh, thank you.
I can totally
Your
see
mouth to God's ears.
I'm saying it out loud.
or Hallmark.
Yes. So seriously, I mean, seriously, because you are descriptive in your series, in your book, and you put people in situations and stuff. So I felt like I was there, in many situations.
Oh,
That made me help imagine the world.
right.
So is that something, because as you know, some writers are not as descriptive, some writers are very descriptive, some writers choose third person, some do first. So how did you choose like the narrative of the book, and how kind of what the book was going to be on its own?
Well, I Drew is sort of a based on somebody from my junior high, high school experience, who wasn't very nice, who was actually kind of a buddy in second grade. And I guess I thought about, I mean, I haven't seen him. There's been no, contact since
Right.
high school, but I guess I wondered, well, what happened? He moved away and then he came back years later. And so that would be like 8 years later. What happened that, you know, why is he attacking me now?
Right.
Is it just he, is just a jerk with everybody and he wasn't a jerk back in second grade?
Right.
or did something else happen? And so that's what started it. It never became an issue in the book. There was no, oh, he turned from being nice to her to being a mean guy because his dog was kicked or something when he was 10 and he just railed against the world. I never really solved that, but I think in real life there is no measure of why someone changes. So I kind of liked the idea of these two people competing and what would happen if the hero, Drew, thought the only way to beat Charlie in this competition, because he realizes she's the real deal. He's going to have to get her off her game. And I think a big way of getting someone off her game is expressing interest when there was nothing like that previously. And that's what he does, and it backfires on him because then he really does start caring for her and vice versa.
Which is the fun part. And then we're going to tell everybody that you have to read.
Yeah.
That's the fun part. It's like, okay, a lot of things are intersecting and real feelings come in there, yet competition's still
right.
there. It's a whole, it's like it's a classic story. It's a fun story. Just with this background of competition. So I liked it.
Right.
I like that. You have another book called Sex on a Plate. So I have to read that. I have to read that one because I'm like, what?
Okay.
Like, because these are all standalone. These are all standalone episodes.
Well, yeah, yeah. You don't have to read. I mean, you'll learn about Drew and Charlie in book 2, but it's really about Charlie's friend Lula. She is ready to go after her own dream. She sort of helped out her friend Charlie with financing her food truck. And before that, she was taking care of her father after her mother has passed away. So now it's really time for her. But she meets up with someone who insists on her staying in town to do a mural, a piece of artwork for his new restaurant, and she's not interested until he gives her an offer she can't refuse, which is making an introduction to a well-known artist in Japan that he knows, and having her become that woman's apprentice. So Lula doesn't have to do it, but she really wants that gig, and she is a woman of her word. So even though she could just say, "Oh, okay, bye," just run away from, even though she's gotten the job, she could run away and say, "Oh, F you, I'm going anyway." She has principles, and she decides to do the mural, and they become friends with benefits, and then it becomes more. And there's humor in that one too. They meet at an airport, and she she has some words for him with his Rico Suave kind of behavior with a woman who he's been with for the last few weeks. So I think they had a good meet cute, if you will. It's more meet antagonism, but I think all the best romances have some antagonism, and I'm a fan of screwball comedies, so I think I put a lot of that in there, like Philadelphia Story or What's Up, Doc.
Oh
Yeah, Bridget Jones's Diary, I think, is less screwball, but it's got that kind of
right.
spirit. So,
Are there any other romance writers you like?
oh my gosh, there's so many. Uh, the ones that I first started out with, who are, I guess, the older ones, you don't see them writing as much romance. Jennifer Cruzy. Um, oh gosh, you put me at the spot there. Susan Elizabeth Phillips, who's a writer based here in the Midwest, Chicago, who has let's give some recommendations if you want. Susan Elizabeth Phillips, Match Me If You Can, which is kind of also a antagonistic relationship between the two main characters. Gosh, there are so many. I'm blanking out right now. I also like a lot of books that do have the food theme in them.
Okay.
There are a lot of those, and I'm blanking out. I am
That's
so
fine.
sorry, but
You a couple people, so that's good. A couple folks. She didn't know I was gonna ask that question.
but
I was thinking about that.
yeah, and with Jennifer Cruzy, I'll give you the name of my favorite Cruzy book, which is Bet Me. And I just love the fact that it's so silly, I like the silly stories that have real stakes besides the fact that they're big screwball comedy. So.
Well, it's kind of it's one of those things. I'm a mass producer myself. I put out certain products and things, and it's like it's not all Shakespeare and and all these things, but there is a place for pop kind of work. This is like pop work. This is work that people want this stuff because it's like they want something that's taken away from their world, easy to read, has a story. There's a story in there. You can pop in your purse, pop in your backpack, put in your briefcase and go. And I think there's room for all of this, right?
Yeah. I never thought of myself as wanting to do literary work because it's so so sometimes deep and you get into a dark place, and I think most people don't want to be in that. They just want, I know it sounds like people are probably thinking it's fast food,
right,
which is usually an insult, but if I were to say something, I would say then it's healthier fast food, more like granola. You get you get some nice flavors and it goes down easy, but it's not going to make you feel ill the day after. You just enjoy the story, enjoy your life. It's a nice beach read, as they like to call these type of books.
When did you decide to become a writer who produces books? I'm sure you're always a writer, but actually going, okay, I'm gonna put out books.
That was a real hard decision, because I always basically I would educate myself to ridiculous heights. I would take class after class after class, and I think education is very important, but I think I was using all the writing classes I was taking sort of as a crutch, so that I did not have to actually sit down, do it, and throw it out for the world to see. Right. I think it really came about from NaNoWriMo, which I'm sure you've heard of. Yeah. For those who don't, National Novel Writing Month, which just ended. I didn't do it this year, but I've done it 4 times, and I was successful. Well, many times, but I was successful 4 times.
Okay.
But with Food Fight, I tried doing NaNoWriMo over and over again, and it just wouldn't work. And actually, it was another story. It wasn't Food Fight. Food Fight didn't take that much time to write because I went through hell with a previous book, which I haven't published.
Oh, okay.
I tried 2 or 3 times, to do it every November, couldn't get through it. And then one year I decided I'm going to do it no matter what. No matter if I don't even finish it in November, which I did not. Didn't finish it at the end of December, didn't finish it in March. Took me till September of that next year. I finally finished it. And I felt like it was such a achievement. And I thought the story was pretty good. I still haven't, it needs tweaking, but I had this book idea for Food Fight, and I decided, okay, well, you enjoyed doing it, you think you have a good product, let's actually go for it. And that's kind of scary too, because it's more than just, okay, putting it on Amazon, ebook, and just leaving it alone.
Right.
You have to actually be all sorts of things, like a marketer, a promoter, and it's hard to learn that stuff. It's very slow going. I don't know if authors had the advantage 30 years ago before ebooks. I mean, maybe you have heard opinions, because nowadays all the marketing, even with book publishing, is a lot on the author now rather than the publisher. So I don't know if it would have been better being like, you watch Anne of Green Gables and you see her wrap up her little thing in cardboard and send it out, and then the publisher, oh, we'll publish it and we'll put it out. Was that really the way it was 100 years ago? Or was it that easy? Did they have to do a lot of marketing back then? I have no idea. I never thought about it.
It's funny. I feel like, to answer your question, I think now it's just easier because social media, it's free. No more
Yes.
you got the quarter page ads and magazines and stuff anymore and paying for it. Now, literally, it's free advertising anywhere. So that helps. I think also with self-publishing, and even with publishing with it, nowadays there's so many books out there, right? But it's a great thing too. There's so many books out there, so people can actually have choice.
Yes.
But most of the larger companies now, it's more like 4 or 5 big companies that run all the book publishing, and now just self-publishing. So now it's just choice. And I think there's people who are doing both. There are people who do some self-publish, they do both.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're starting to change.
The thing is, though, a writer like me, I'm very shy. You might not be able to tell that, but I am very shy and introvert. So for me, it's hard to do these things, to get my face or the idea of my book out there. But with the number of books coming out a week, I mean, you're lucky, even if you have, a genius manuscript and, great idea for advertising, marketing, and you're outgoing, and you think of all these, wonderful ways to get people's attention. It's still really hard if you have that many. As it's very well, I don't know about you, but when I'm looking at a book to read, it's, you got so many choices, and it's kind of like with Hulu or Netflix or all these companies that have so many new television shows coming out that I want to watch that. I want to watch it. You don't have time unless you are independently wealthy and maybe could watch it fast forwarded or something like that. I don't know. Are we burning our? I don't know about burning ourselves out, but burning the companies out. Will they, be able to, get, make enough money to be able to do stories that they want? Same with a writer. Writing is you're going to be probably unless you're Stephen King or something, you're going to be writing. You're going to be working as well as writing.
Yes.
And do you have enough enough money and time to be able to advertise and while doing your job? And so it's not easy. I know I'm sounding like woe's me, but it's not easy. So I think it will take a few years to hopefully my book sort of taking off. Don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's like, don't just read on this show. We talk about the business of books. I mean, that's part of it
Yeah.
also, and that's what we're talking about. Just that it's for anybody who watches with your writer. It's in some ways it's a better time, and in some ways it's just it's so now there's a lot. It's like the doors are open, so good we can all go through, but now we can all go through. It's like just kind of it's just a double-edged sword.
Right.
What's actually good, what actually isn't good. And of course that's subjective also, but it's still kind of like what's good, what's not good, what's going to get in magazines as as a marketing for free, what's going to get an interview. Like it's a lot of work. There's a business behind it. There's a business behind you.
Yeah.
A book out. I mean, what's next? You got people to buy it. You want folks to have it in their hands or in a Kindle or whatever it is. You
exactly.
want to have it. That's the bottom line. So
exactly.
you got to do it. So I mean, that's so folks, you write a book. You're not just writing it for yourself. I mean, you want folks to actually read it. So it's a lot that goes on.
Right. I'm not trying to discourage people because if you have that idea in your head, like Food Fight, I had for a long time, I just wanted to get out there and create it. And it's also making new worlds. Yes, it's contemporary romance. It's not like, paranormal or fantasy where those worlds are huge.
Right.
But it's just the idea you make these people, you're kind of godlike in a sense.
Yeah.
And you're creating these people who you might really enjoy. You would love to have them, over at your place for lunch or something like that. That's a lot of fun to make people that you would like. You have these people who become your friends in a strange sort of way.
I love it.
I think non-book people won't get that. I mean, non-writer people, I think they might think I'm a little weird because no, I'm not seeing these people behind me.
I see them.
I'm just imagining them. Yeah, thank you.
I see them. I see them, folks. Writing stories. That's the other thing. When you're writing, you're immersing yourself in a world. You're creating a world, and you're immersing yourself in there. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's work, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yes,
I do. I like Food Fight, folks. Folks, check it out. I'm making my finger out the way. Thea Lambert is the name. Food Fight is the book. There's a book called Sex on a Plate also. You can go on Amazon. It's there. And they probably you're at Barnes and Noble too and all that, or just on Amazon. Where you are? You just on Amazon or
just on Amazon.
Yeah, so Kindle and paperback. Check one of those out. You can have it on your little tablet, your phone. And it's a fun read, you guys. A lot of you guys are traveling this year for holidays. You'll be at airports and stuff. This is a book. This will keep you occupied and smiling as you're doing that. Thea Lambert, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've had a really good time.
My pleasure too. And I'm James Lott. You can follow me everywhere. Support the arts. Support writers. Check out writers you may not even know about. And just hit on see what they're talking about. And you may be pleasantly surprised. But support the arts. Writing is just as important. These books are just as important as everything else. Nonfiction, fiction, whatever. It's like there's a whole world out there. We want to support people who are creating this art for us while we're going through the craziest of our times these days. I'm James Lott Jr., and I'll see you next time.